It's many years.
It has been many
It
years,
is good
hasn't
to
it?
see you. Yes. And this evening we are sharing the podium as we memorialize Auntie Miriam, Miss B, Sister Baptiste, whatever we called her, Miri, whatever we called her. We're here to remember this precious, precious soul. And I could see many relatives on. Good evening, everyone. And I could see many friends. I'm seeing the names. I'm recognizing names from the BHS alumni, and of course the neighbors, etc. And so we just want to welcome everyone to this very, very special virtual memorial service for Miriam Yorrick Baptiste.
Oh yes, we definitely want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much. And you know, as you guys can see, even though I'm not in Tobago, I have visions of Tobago, so I have my Tobago background in me.
Wow.
You know, so
Yes.
I am trying to, you know, to do like the homeboy that I want to be. Now, Jillian, I want to ask you a trick question. Who was closer to Auntie Miriam, you or me?
You or me? Because you live next door, right?
I guess I was only
I don't know. I think can I say that I shared her blood, all right? Because I am the niece of the late Miriam Baptiste. She was the first of my mother's siblings. All right, so I am Olive's daughter. For those who are the relatives from the US and wherever you are, and you're wondering who I am Jillian Grant Selfridge, and just so pleased to be a host this evening, this memorial service.
Okay, Jillian. Well, since you say it like that, for everybody out there who wondering who I am, as Jillian said, I am just a neighbor. I'm nobody. I'm just a neighbor. But since you're talking about blood, I am going to ask Wayne Richardson. Wayne has been designated to do opening prayer for us. So Wayne, at this time, if you can do the opening prayer, we'll greatly appreciate it.
Okay, at this time we are going to pray to open this service. Bow our heads. Father, we come before you this evening, acknowledging that you are creator and redeemer of all mankind. We are ever grateful that you sit on your throne of grace and has extended mercy to us. We thank you for the opportunity to meet as family, as brethren, as colleagues, past students, friends, neighbors, well-wishers, to acknowledge the impact made on our lives by the late Miriam Yorrick Baptiste. Father, if we were to write her story, it would indeed be volumes describing her connection with her God, the parenting of her 5 children, and even siblings and adopted children, the sterling contribution that she has made to the educational landscape of Tobago, her unique blend of culture and culture, that's the Queen's English and Tobago vernacular, her kindness, her grace, her quiet demeanor, her positive outlook, a legacy left for our admiration and practice. We thank you, Lord, for the time that you have given her to us, even 89 years, to bless our lives. We pray that this memorial service will help us to bring closure to an apparent untimely death, and will give us the opportunity to celebrate her life by sharing the unique experiences that we have had with her. I speak of Miriam Yorrick Baptiste. Thank you, Lord, for this moment. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Wayne. Good to see you, sir. So when you were talking about the vernacular and, you know, the English and stuff, were you trying to say she was talking in tongues, or was that something else you were saying?
Culture and culture.
Oh, culture. Okay. Very well. Very well. Very well. Okay. Well, to start off, this afternoon, we have a lot of tributes, and we may be overflowing in love today. And to start it off, we are going to have cousin Ivan Ogis, who will have a tribute for his cousin. Ivan Ogis, are you on board?
I'm right on board.
All right, good to hear. Oh, here you are. Here you are. Long time no see.
Yes. You know, my dear cousin was more than a cousin. She was like a sister to us. And we can always go up there if we were hungry, if we had no place to stay. In fact, one of my older brothers resided with her for several years. And I would always go up there and find something to eat all the time. And I could always remember her beautiful smiles and a welcoming disposition. And the only thing I can do tonight or this evening is to sing us, I said us, great memorial, Blessed Hope. My brother and I, Augustus, or we call him Faithful, would have two special arrangements. He would preach and I would sing. But unfortunately, the COVID made that impossible. But from here, I'll continue in the tradition. One of the things that I dreaded most of all was when I went to a wedding or a funeral, my mother would sing. And I would always be a little nervous, but she had a beautiful voice. And today, I'm walking in her stead. I see she was alive today, she'll be laughing at me because I've taken up the same thing. So I'm going to sing a song. I had a song in mind, but my wife said, no, don't sing that, sing this one. So I'm going to sing this one. I'm kinda homesick for a country to which I never, no, I've never been before. No sad goodbye will there be spoken, and time won't matter anymore. Oh yes, it's Beulah. I'm longing for you, and someday on the earth stand, where my home shall be eternal. Beulah, looking out just across the river where my way is gonna change the side, but just a few more weary days still to labor, and then I'm gonna take my heavenly flight. Oh yes, it's new land. I'm longing for you, and someday on the earth stand where my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land. Oh yes, Beulah land, Beulah land, Beulah land, sweet Beulah land. Thank you.
Wow. Yes.
Wow.
Uncle Faithful, you
Yes.
still have it. You still have that great voice. And
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Saying that.
And Jillian, you know, I just looked in the chat, right? And it looked like one of his nephews, Rui, is looking for an
Rui,
early Christmas present. You
Yes.
notice he said he's still blessed with that beautiful vocal talent.
Yeah.
Uncle Ivan, I think he's looking for an early Christmas present for me, you know.
Yes, but certainly Beulah Land, all right, it's always an awesome gospel classic that continues to warm our hearts. And Clem, tonight we want to just recognize that on this Zoom tonight, first of all, we do have the children of Miriam Baptiste, Yorrick Baptiste. We have, and at the same time, we are extending our deepest condolences to them. It could be Garfield, aka Bapo, Gwen, Karen, Andre, and Andrea, and their families, their children. And then we also have the siblings, and we have her sisters, the sisters of Miriam, Theodora, Baptiste. First of all, the adopted daughter and sister, Mrs. Roslyn Wood, and her family, Mrs. Thelma Coker, and Mrs. Olive Grant, my mom. And then her brothers, Prince Richardson of New York, and David Cato of who lives in Trinidad, and then her adopted son in Rhode Island, Calvin Alexander. And then we want to recognize Dr. Eastlyn McKenzie and Mrs. Brashaw in St. Kitts. I don't think Dr. Eastlyn McKenzie is in St. Kitts. I think she's in Tobago. And then there is the niece of Mrs. Miriam Baptiste, Glenda Grant Roberts of New Jersey. That's my sister. And then we just heard from Uncle Faithful in Tennessee. Then there is her niece, my cousin Jacqueline Wardlaw in Alabama. And then, of course, we have Bishopians, the alumni and her colleagues at Bishop's High School, past and present. And then last but not least, her church family, the Gospel Hall Assembly members of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, wherever they may be viewing or listening from this evening, we want to welcome you this evening to this reunion.
Oh, yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Jillian. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are with the family, you know,
Yes.
at a time like this. And even though, and it's good to know that even though we do mourn at times, we know that this is a celebration of life, because with all those names that you just called it, she touched each one in a special way. And before we
Yes.
got the last tribute, I decided
Oh,
to use some of my,
Clem, please forgive me.
yeah, uh-huh.
We neglected to say Auntie Gracelyn Richardson. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I am sorry, but yes, there's Auntie Gracelyn, her sister. Yes,
Jillian, it's a good thing you stopped me because you're not too big to get licks, you know. You better
that's
acknowledge
that's
Auntie
okay.
Gracelyn.
Yes,
Auntie Gracelyn, good to see you and everyone there. And
yes,
what I did, I saw, I took the 6 letters of the word Miriam, and I decided to try to use a little poetic license and to say what Miriam means. M
yes,
signifies her memories, which we all treasure. I
yes.
represents her intelligence, which grew without measure. R
Hmm.
reflects her relationships, which just seem to swell. I portrays her intrinsic value, which we know quite well. A is for her attitude, which was nurtured with care. M stands for her maker, to whom she was dear. These 6 letters reflect just a small portion of Mrs. B, a person who will certainly stand out in our memory.
Yes,
So those are just a few
very well.
lines.
That was
Few
very
lines.
good, Clem.
Yeah,
To
I think
be
she might
sure
have
to
been
mark.
pleased with that if she saw my English. What do you think?
I think so. I just thought of that. She realized she did a good job.
She might
Yes.
have said I passed a class at last. So
Clem.
so
You
Jill,
know,
what I
one
think
is,
I'll do, right? I think I'll
yes,
introduce this next person because I see the next person on the list, and I think you
yes.
more qualify to do that.
All right.
Yes.
Um,
So
yes.
right now,
And
yes.
just before I do so, I need to say that this list of persons wishing to pay tributes to Auntie Miriam is very long. And it is a testimony of the quality of life that she lived. And somebody said, you know, how do you talk about 89 years in 3 minutes? I mean, that's going to be a miracle. But what we're going to need to do is to try, all right? Because we want to give as many persons as possible the opportunity to just say what she meant to you, how much she touched your lives. And so we are going to try as much as possible to stick with the 3 minutes. And when you hear me clearing my throat, it won't be because somebody's in my throat. It will be my way of saying, time to bring it down, okay? All right. So let's do this in love, in loving memory of her. Let's make sure we give somebody else a chance to say something. All right. So we're gonna call on my cousins and her cousins, Rosine, James, and Samuel Chapman. They are part of the Bigford family group. Auntie Kay would say, take it away. Go right ahead, cousins. Rosine and Samuel, you are there?
Sam, you go ahead first. All right. No, okay. All right. Okay, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead before, because some like he's not ready. As you
Okay.
said, as I said earlier in the chat, I am Rosine Chapman, as you said. My daddy and teacher Miriam were first cousins, so we are second cousins. And
Right.
over the years, we've spent a lot of time with the Bigford family. Her mother was like my grandmother, because my grandmother died early, our grandmother rather, like Sam and all of us. Our grandmother died early. So we were at Tan Galley's house all the time. So Roslyn and Gracelyn were like our sisters. We walked and talked and ramped. We were friends and family. And Teacher Miriam was the big sister that we were all in awe of. Her children were the smaller ones to us, but we had wonderful, wonderful times. Kindness personified. There was nothing that Teacher Miriam or any of the Bigfoot family, any of us wanted that the Bigfoot family did not supply. So we are grateful to, first of all, Tangali, our great aunt, all our cousins, and including, of course, Teacher Miriam. I'll leave the rest to Sam.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosine. Sam.
Okay, my number here, 721-807. I'm extremely happy to say a tribute to Teacher Miriam. That's what we know her as, Teacher Miriam. I went to Lescato Methodist School when I was about 5, 6 years old, and up until possibly about 9. As Rose said, Tangali was like our grandmother. We would sleep on the floor anywhere, wherever, but she would make sure our bellies were well filled every day, or even in the night time that we'd spend there. Gracelyn was reminding me today, a few days ago, that I was the messenger boy between Tangali and Teacher Miriam when I was about maybe 9, 10, 11. And she would send me up there to bring back things or to carry a message. And a little humor with this one. Once I went and I stayed a little longer. I used to pass on I think it's the hill they call it, I'm not sure, going over the hill. And I stayed a little longer to come. And then when I did return, Tangali asked me, "But Samuel, why is it that you stayed so long?" I said, "Well, I stayed very long because I used the word that we knew very well about in those days. She was pregnant, as Teacher Miriam was pregnant with, I think, the 3rd or the 4th child. And I said I had to stay that long because Teacher Miriam, she had to puke." And we had a laugh over the whole matter. And I think humor is well in place even today as we celebrate her life. Thank you very kindly.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, cousins Rosine and Samuel. Moving right along, Olive Grant, sister of Miriam Baptiste. While we're waiting for her to come along, just to make good use of time, we would receive the tribute from Mrs. Thelma Coker after, following right after Olive, so that we wouldn't be making good use of the minutes, because they would certainly add up.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And what I can do, since the tribute for Thelma Coker is a video, I can probably play that
you
now.
You can go ahead.
If,
yes. We would give
yes. And
yes.
then Sister Grant will
yes.
go next. All right. All right. So let's play the tribute for Thelma Coker.
Yes.
I could remember as a child, I loved Miriam Daly. Later on, we call her Miss B. What I love most of all, every month she would take me into Scarborough with her to shop. I could have asked for anything I wanted, but that was always reasonable. But what I admired most of all, once we went into battle, there were some sandals, some for $3.95 and some for $4.95. And I choose the one for $4.95, and she didn't mind buying it for me because it was of a better quality as the other one. And
Wow.
she taught me to be thrifty. She taught me how to spend. And in the end, she gave me a salary, don't laugh, of $10 per month. But that was a lot.
Okay.
I will always remember her and I will always love her. And what I admire most of her is when she was correcting her school paper. When you did well, she'd say, And when you didn't do well, she would hiss her teeth and say, what stupidness. And we had that like a joke. So I will always remember my sister. I
Yes.
remember how we love each other. And
Yes.
wish she could have been living till now, but God knows best. He took her
Yes.
home. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Auntie Telma. That's my aunt right there. And yes, I remember those days sitting by while she was correcting the papers. And she just shoot. I want this one I do here. What this one, what she saying here? And you would think the student is right there. And whoever is doing well, she say, good, good. And she continues. So we're gonna have, I don't know if Mommy is ready, Olive Grant is ready. If she's not, we're gonna take her at a later time, but we're gonna move on to the pan soloist that will be rendered by Aton Baptiste, her grandson.
Well, Jillian, I just got a message here. Aton is not
Yes.
ready. I guess he turned in here and he
She's
turned
not
in there, but
ready.
Aton
Yes.
is not ready.
Is not ready, so we
Not,
can go on to Prince then.
yes,
Prince Richard, my uncle.
yes. Is Uncle Prince ready?
Uh, uh, I guess for some persons, we have to bear with them, the technology. If it was in person, they would have just arisen to their feet and they would just deliver their tributes. But now they have to make sure that they are able to manipulate the Zoom, etc. And so we have to bear with them. All right,
Yeah.
so is Uncle Prince is not ready? All right,
Yes,
so we'll take
I am ready.
Uncle Prince,
Yes,
go right
I'm
ahead.
ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, that's beautiful, beautiful. The last time at the time of the funeral, they only give me 2 minutes to speak. And I couldn't come up with anything I could say about my sister in 2 minutes, so I declined. I didn't say anything at all. Now, first thing I gotta correct you guys. You call the lady Miriam Baptiste, but you forget she's Miriam Bigfoot first. So she's Miriam Bigfoot Yorrick Baptiste, okay? Correction.
You
Listen,
stand corrected.
you gotta go from Bigfoot first, then Yorrick, then Baptiste, okay? Now,
Okay.
the confusion with me and Miriam is sometimes we don't know either call her Sister Miriam or Teacher Miriam. Now, I only do reflection because I know there's so many attributes that she has, so I don't want to get involved with that. But I remember going to school in Scarborough very early, and she's going to school in a Bishop High School, which was in Bacalet at the time. And she'll hold my hand, and I hold on to her little finger, my feet just barely touching the ground, because she seemed to be so much taller than me at the time, Now, as we grew up later, I'm only going to use a little areas. I'm not going to go so deep. When I went to school in Lekoto, now the confusion is she Sister Miriam or Teacher Miriam, right? If when I'm at school, I say Teacher Miriam, and when I go home, I say Sister Miriam. So when we get older, we just cut out the thing and we just say Miriam.
Right.
Anyway, my relationship with her is that she was like my big sister, my mother, everything. There was a situation in our family where we believe our mother would die very early.
And we as kids made a decision. She said, well, I'll take the baby if mother dies, but the other would stick together. We're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? And this decision was made by children, not by adults. All right? She always looked out for us. But I played a joke at her one day. You know, I always got to add something funny. I look at her purse, I said, a big teacher like you only have $4.60. And she said, leave my $4.60 right there. And I took out everything else and left $4.60 right in her purse. You know, although she was a smart one, but I'm the cunning one. As we move on, my cousin make a joke about she vomiting. When she was gonna have Bapo, the only thing she could keep down was coconut water. So I gotta make sure that every day before I go to school, I get at least 6 coconut water so that she can have, because that's the only thing she could digest until at least after 3 or 4 months. But I can go on and on and on and on. I was a little brother. She used to say, when I'm in school, I spend 1 year in a class and it's the worst 1 year of my life. If I get 90, she had 90, she said, what happened to the other 10? Right? If I make 100, she said, you're too smart to write so crooked. You understand? So it was never good enough. But she had all love, man. That's all I could say. All love. She would give her last penny to any one of us. And she was a great inspiration, because whenever I see the test or anything, I say, hey, my sister was brilliant. So, hey, we come from the same bloodline. You understand? So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But like I said, she was love. That's all she gave us was love. And she gave us that inspiration that we can do anything we want to do. Okay? So in loving memory to my sister, my only regret is that she died at such a time that we couldn't come and give her a good funeral, a good send-off. But her legacy goes on to say something good about her. But that's it, okay? She gave me a hard time in school, man, all right? I couldn't. 50 was not good enough. I get conks, you know, me conks with a ruler, and that was the punishment I would get. Right? And homework, I couldn't not do homework because I'm coming from the same house, right? You couldn't say the dog eat your homework because she know better, and you couldn't get a note from your mother because she know it's not a mother's handwriting. All right. So I close with love. I know me, I always got to make it fun. This is not about sadness. This is about celebrating the life of a great woman. Okay, so I end with love to everybody. Okay, and that's Uncle Prince.
Thank you, Uncle Prince. Thank you, little brother. All right.
I'm a baby brother. Moving
along, Clem, do we have Aton? Baptiste as yet?
Well, I got a note. Aton will probably be ready in about half an hour, so we'll have to skip that for a while.
All right, so that's good. So we are gonna receive the poem from Hollis' nephew, Hollis Coker. And then Andrea, her daughter, will follow.
And Jillian, I heard what Hollis is going to do. He may surprise everyone.
Well, what do you think? Is he going to sing? What is he going to do?
I know, but I'm not saying. I'm just going to let the man perform and you guys will see.
Okay, all right. Do you think he's ready?
Hollis, are you there?
Well, I guess whatever he's planning is so big. It's so big. All right. All right. So let's, perhaps Andrea may be ready. Just so that we can keep the flow, keep the momentum.
Is Uncle, is Auntie Olive ready? You think she's, did you hear anything from Auntie Olive?
I have.
From Mommy, I should say.
Yes, I have no means of knowing. I have not received any advice or advisory. But once she's ready and she comes on, we will allow her to say her tribute. So we are flowing.
Oh, yes.
So Hollis, are you there? Are you ready?
Well, as you said, if he's not, we go straight into Andrea, right?
Go straight into Andrea. Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Andrea.
I must say, I must say I'm quite pleased to see all of you here tonight. Okay, so tonight we are celebrating the life of a remarkable woman with brain as well as beauty. That was Miriam Yorrick Baptiste. She was beautiful, not only in face, but in personality. She was the first of 9 children, born to Martha Bickford Richardson. She was the pride and joy of her father, Marcus Yorrick. Born on the 27th April 1932 on the Bickford Hill, Franklin, Lakoto, she attended Lakoto Anglican School, eventually becoming an exhibitioner, gaining a scholarship to Bishop's High School. After leaving secondary school, she went to teach at Lakoto Anglican and then back to Bishop's High School, where she became the English language teacher until her retirement. Still full of life, she accepted another job at St. Nicholas, a private primary school, taught for a number of years before she finally retired. She took her religious life seriously. For as long as I knew her, she was a Sunday school teacher. After Sunday school, she joined with a small church group visiting shut-ins. She loved what she did so much that she had to be forced into giving it up. Because of her walk with Christ and her temperament, she never worried about anything. She had the ability to encourage herself in the Lord. Miriam's home was like the Mecca during holidays. When school was in season, she would take in children who live in rural areas, who wanted to get an education in Scarborough. They all speak of her as their second mother. She was married to Garfield Baptiste on August 16th, 1956. From this union bore 5 children: Garfield, Gwyneth, Karen, Andre, and yours truly, Andrea. Her siblings consider her as the world's best sister. She shared all her resources, ensuring that they had a good education, even to the point of adopting her last sister, Roslyn. Quoting from Auntie Roslyn, "She molded me into the person I am today. I thank God for the role she played in my life. She was indeed my mother." End of quote. As a result of Miriam Yorrick Baptiste being an avid reader, she would speak the Queen's language, but had the ability to speak the vernacular fluently. She was bilingual. In her latter years, when Alzheimer's plagued her, my mother still had the command of the English language. When she was told to put something down, she would ask, "Is it yours?" At times, she would be singing hymns and repeating psalms, but never obscene language. Now that she has gone to rest, she has left us with a rich legacy, which, if we emulate, would stand us in good stead. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. Some call her Teacher Miriam, Sister B, Mrs. B, Auntie Miriam. Her grandchildren call her Mommy Miriam. We the children call her Mommy. Mommy, sweet be thy rest. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
No,
Yes.
Jillian, yeah, I have to tell Andrea something.
Yes.
No, I hear Andrea say something about some kind of language there, right? You remember I'm the neighbor?
Yes.
And I used to hear Miss Baptiste telling Andrea and Karen and Gwen 4-letter words. I used to hear that they have to cook, iron, and wash. Nice 4-letter words.
Yes.
That's why they are so industrious today.
Yes, yes, yes. You certainly were the eavesdropping. You were the eavesdropping neighbor. All right.
Well, I don't know if it was ease or heavy, but something was dropping.
Yes, Clem. But Andrea, that's an excellent eulogy. Certainly, it applauds and states very clearly the sterling qualities of Auntie Miriam, and we are the richer for her being on the earth, for her being part of our lives. And of course, you, as her daughter, you are speaking the truth. That's exactly who she was. All right, and then we have a niece. I don't know who it is, who's going to now lead us with a trip down memory lane, a slideshow. Is that niece ready? There are many nieces.
I know it looks, let me see if I get a message. You know, I'm getting secret messages on every second here. I think that niece might be ready, but what I am seeing here is Hollis is going to have a video, and that video might be ready.
All right, good. So let's hear from Hollis.
Thank you.
Okay, the person who is going to highlight Hollis, are you there?
Yes, we are here. His
all
screen is disabled though. The host needs to let me share the screen.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the name. Oh, Arlene, okay.
Hi, Arlene and Elan.
Hi, good night. Good night.
Yes, good night.
All right, you should be able to do it now.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Clem, I see you are outdoors. I hope you're not experiencing the heat wave. Where are you?
Well, you know, I'm up at the fort. I'm in the heat and I'm just waving. Yes. Ali, is it giving you any difficulty or? Okay, here we go.
Got it.
Come everyone and listen to me as I sing about my charming auntie. She was a treasure to one and all, always willing to answer your call. She was a woman of considerable worth, yet she was kind and down to earth. So I would sing to the best of my ability. Never learned this from Thelma old Granny. Come on, choose song. Damba damba dum. Get out loud.
You took it off.
Oh, even Lara would be proud to see my aunt's superb batting ability. Preserving her wicket was always at work, always willing to play a captain's knock. while losing players on every side. This old girl on playing with pride. A century from her would have been fine, but we are grateful for that trophy lifting line. La 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 la. Sing it out, boy. I want to fall. Sing it out, boy. When I was pondering the holiday, especially with my cousin Andre. One Caravan Monday we had an episode. Andre and I decided to hit the road. I saw a teacher was overcome with fright when she asked me if Jesus should come tonight. I said, Andre, let we go home fast before Auntie runs. But will it stand the man it? It out by. What about the other people in her life, including Uncle Neville, who made her wife? Very good neighbors, as I could see, including Mom Hackett and Dorothy. In Leketo, she was a respected woman. Trouble, man, you will get a bell hand. All the students, English was their subject, but he always behaved shield, takes you in dialect. No more for tonight.
Did he say no downpours tonight?
Well,
No
sister.
more calls.
I'm not too sure about that.
No more calls tonight.
But thank you for this. Thank you.
Julian, you know, I was looking to see if there was a cup next to him to see if they were to examine the contents, you know, within the cup. But there was no cup. There was no cup next to him. But I just want everyone to know that you can book him at 1-800-CALL-HOLLIS, and you can get him at hollis@extempo.com. Right?
All right.
hollis@extempo.com.
Yes. All right.
And
yes.
another message came in, Jillian, while he was there. I was told that it would be better if we allow Dr. Eastlyn Mackenzie to go now, and then we can do the trip down memory lane.
Yes, yes. So let's welcome Dr. Eastlyn Mackenzie
to
share her tribute at this time.
Eastlyn.
Are you hearing me?
All right, we can hear you now.
Yes. Well, I am Eastlyn Mackenzie from Tobago. And very briefly, in 1960, I got my first appointment as a teacher at the Lekoto Anglican School. And there I met teacher Miriam on the staff of the school. Teacher Miriam was quiet, peaceful, helpful, never in a hurry, took her time to walk and everything else. But my fondest memory of her was when she went to Teachers College in Trinidad. Now, teacher Miriam, as I heard before in the other tributes, she always spoke the dialect, the Tobago dialect. And she took the dialect everywhere she went. Perfect English teacher, but she spoke the dialect. So the students from Trinidad in college used to laugh at this teacher. Are you not hear how she talk? You don't understand what she said. So the first English examination that they had in the college, well, they did their examination and papers were handed back, and the children, the other students were sniggering and saying, well, boy, we want to see what Miriam Baptiste get. Because me know she done a mad handle the English exam where we get. So they got the papers and so on. When teacher Miriam got back her script, and she said, but wait, I wonder why he take away me 2 marks for. She get 90, she get 98 out of 100. The rest of them who not fail, no get over 20, no get over 40. No. Miriam Baptiste lick up the whole class. From that, they realized she was a perfect English writer and speaker whenever she was ready, but she never left the Tobago vernacular or what we say, our Tobago dialect alone. I am also a speaker of our Tobago dialect. And I can tell you, teachers from Bishops will tell you, whenever they were teaching poetry or Shakespeare or so, fine, they had no problem. But whenever they had to teach grammar, syntax, they called Miriam Baptiste from wherever she was in the staff room. Teacher Miriam, come handle this topic with these children for us. You couldn't beat her in teaching English. Hats off to her and the legacy she has left behind. Good handwriting, good speaking, good English, and may her soul rest in peace. She was a lovely, sharing person. Oh, how we loved teacher Miriam. Rest in peace, dear soul. And to the children and all the relatives, I knew Mr. Baptiste quite well also. Oh my God, please, our deepest condolences to you. But believe me, teacher Miriam has left us something. She has left footprints on the sands of time. God bless. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome, Dr. Eastland. Mackenzie, thank you so much for your kind words. And that's exactly the truth. You know, Clem, we could say so much, but there is no point in us speaking if there are persons to share their tributes.
Oh, yes.
So we want to move right along and give everybody an opportunity to share, you know, what this precious soul, and while we are, the niece is getting ready to come on board and share the trip down memory lane. I thought today of the fact, Dr. Mackenzie, that Auntie Miriam, Mrs. B, must have touched thousands of lives in Tobago, and therefore, and many of those persons would have gone to many other nations and made their impact, wherever they went, as they fulfill their purpose. So this woman, my God, we thank God for her life. Yes.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And while the niece is waiting, you know, it have a lot of people, Jillian, who wanted to emulate Miss B or Teacher B. Now, I don't want to call no name, right? But if you call name, I will whistle. She have a niece who teaches. What they say she teach Compre? No, I say that. I just say niece.
Okay.
Who teaches.
You call name, I will whistle.
You know? So,
no, let me say.
So the niece went into class, you know, trying to do things like Miss B. So she was doing English. So she said, okay, we're doing past tense, present tense, future tense. I want to see what's going on. So she said, okay, I am going to town. What tense is that? He said, that's present tense. He said, okay, you got it right. I went to town yesterday. What is that? That's past tense. I will go to town tomorrow. What's that? They say future tense. So she see this boy in the back not paying attention. She said, I am going to pick on that boy. He looked at the guy and said, you in the back who not paying attention. I want you to tell me what tense is this. I am an intelligent young lady. He said, miss, that's pretense. But we're not calling any name. We're not calling any name, right?
All right. Yes.
But they were supposed to be sharing their screens now. Let's see.
Yes.
Nisa, you guys not getting to share the screen? Okay, here they go.
So we're just waiting for those wondering what's happening. We're just waiting for the niece who is taking us on a trip down memory lane. All right. So we want to welcome Rhonda Wood. Yes, the niece of Mrs. Miriam, daughter of Roslyn Wood and Hezekiah Wood.
Yes, we are seeing it.
It's on.
We are seeing it.
Okay. It's on.
Right. The only thing we need is bodies.
Video. What going on?
There is a candle in every soul, some brightly burning, some dark and cold. There is a spirit who brings the fire, ignites the candle, and makes it glow. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the hopeless, confused and torn. So hold out your candle for to see it. Take your candle and go light your word. Take your candle and go light your world.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow, wow,
Wow.
wow, wow,
And I think she's
wow.
only 4 years old. Yes.
You know,
Take your candle, go light your world.
Yeah.
As Auntie
beautiful.
Miriam
Beautiful.
did.
You know what, Jillian, if Tanti K was there, she would say, bravo, bravo, bravo.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Araya. Thank you. Yes. Go light your word.
And I think memory lane is ready. I think I got a message. They say they may have figured it out.
Who's, I'm sorry, I missed you.
No, oh, no, I'm saying the niece, Rhonda might be ready now. I think they figured
She's
out.
ready? Okay.
Yes.
So let's do it. Let's do it. The trip down memory lane.
Yes, ma'am. Not Golden Lane, but memory lane.
Memory lane. Yes. Of Miriam Bigford Yorrick Baptiste.
She's royal, yeah, so royal, and I want her in my life. I never knew way she moves to her own beat. She has the qualities of a queen, so supreme. Ooh, ooh, what a natural beauty. No need no makeup to be a cutie. She's a queen, so supreme, yeah. And when they ask what a good woman's made of, she's not afraid and ashamed of who she is. She's royal, yeah, so royal. And I want her in my life. I never knew anyone so one of a kind. No, no, the way she moves to her own beat. She has the qualities of a queen, my Nubian queen.
Thanks for the times that you've given me. The memories are all in my mind. And now that we've come to the end of our rainbow, there's something I must say out loud. You once, twice, 3 times a lady, and I love you. Yes, you once, twice, 3 times a lady, and I love you. I love you.
Living without you, 'cause you were my sister, my strength, and my ground. Only God may know why. Still, I will get by.
There were so many things that we could have said. If time was on our side. Ooh, yeah. Now that you're gone, I can still feel you near. While I smile with every tear I cry. Oh, I'm missing you. I'll find a way to go through. Living without you, 'cause you were my sister, my strength and my pride. Only God may know why. Still, I will get back. Sweet, we're the closest to friends, yeah. But I'm waiting for the day when I see you again. See you again. But I'll find a way to get through. Living without you. You are my sister, and my pride. Only God knows why. I will get by. Missing you.
Okay, ma'am. I decided I'm gonna leave.
But you were my sister, my strength and my pride. Only God may know why.
want you to know, I know the truth. I know the truth about it. I would be nothing, nothing, zero without you, without you. Did you ever know you're my hero? If you didn't, I'm telling you now, Daddy, you're everything I would like to be. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I could fly higher than an eagle. Yeah, yeah. You are the wind beneath the man's wing. And if you could see you through my eyes, you'd see someone beautiful. Yeah. On the inside, so beautiful. You would know how I feel. You see how much you mean to me. If you could see you through my eyes, you would see what you mean to me. There's no one else I need. What I feel, there's no way to change this love I have inside. And if you could see you through my eyes, you'd see someone beautiful. Yeah, on the inside, so beautiful. You would know how I feel. You see how much you mean to me. If you could see you through my eyes, you'd see someone beautiful. On the inside, outside, so beautiful. You would know how I feel. You see how much. Oh, if you
again. We miss you, babe. And we won't stop, cause we can't stop. That's right.
She's royal, yeah, so royal, and I want her in my life. I never knew anyone so divine. The way she moves to her own beat, she has the qualities of a queen, so supreme. What a natural beauty. No need no makeup to be a cutie. She's a queen, so supreme, yeah. And when they ask what a good woman's made of, she's not afraid and ashamed of who she is. She's royal, yeah, so royal, and I want her in my life. I never knew anyone so one of a kind. No, the way she moves to her own beat, she has the qualities of a queen, my Nubian queen.
Thanks for the times that you've given me. The memories are all in my mind. And now
she's royal, yeah, so royal, and I want her in.
Wow. That was a chronological narrative of Auntie Miriam's life. We saw it starting with her mother, Martha Bigford Richardson, and of course, ending with her children. And she wondered, who her relatives were and who fits where. You just understood where everybody, at least those who are directly, probably first, second, third generation, how they are connected to her. We just understood that. What we didn't know now, if we didn't know now, we knew. Thank you so much, niece. I think that's Rhonda. You did an excellent job there, putting all those pictures together, and of course, in that order. Thank you, thank you. And of course, the coordinators of this virtual reunion or virtual memorial service, we want to thank you. Clem, are you there?
I hope I'm there and precious to you. I was just listening to you as you expressed yourself. It was just a beautiful slide indeed. And while it was playing, I got some recommendations from Master Control. They recommend that we go with Claire Bradwitt first. Then they will play. Your mom actually has a video. Someone will play that video. Then we'll go with Devon.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. So we are going to go with Ms. Bradwitt. Yes, go right ahead.
Hi. Good evening to everyone, and it's really an honor for me to have the opportunity to pay tribute. I recognize the time constraints and some of the things have been said. I knew Miss B. I bring tribute, first of all. I want to honor her on behalf of my family because her mother was my contemporary. And she happened to have 3 children in line with my mom, so that Bapo and Colin were in class together. Gwen and I were in class together, and Karen and Carol. I also paid tribute on behalf of the class of 1975 of Bishop's High School and the wider Bishop's community. I know she may not have left any written statement and so on, but over the years, I am confident that the class of 1975 would have been her favorite class. So, yes, so I want to pay tribute. I knew Miss B as student Then as teacher, we worked together. And then after I became principal, she was one of those persons who always, even though retired, supported the events of the school. So the relationship spanned a number of years. She started teaching us English in fourth form. And I want to say, as Dr. Mackenzie said, that even though she habitually spoke in the dialect, in the Creole, that her English, her knowledge of English was impeccable, second to none. And I learned from her before coming on as a teacher and even afterwards as a teacher. But particularly our class remembers creative writing and short story writing, because Mrs. Baptiste would give us the most interesting and innovative topics. It was no warm and sunny day and dark and stormy night and all that. It was always something interesting. And she would come back with a book. She never embarrassed any child. I don't know if at home she would give the little hiss and say nonsense, but in class she never embarrassed you. But she would read from these stories, and we looked forward to them because there was so much laughter, so much fun, and she would bring in these little witty comments as she was reading the stories. She would praise those that were good, and then there were some absurdities that we remember even now as a class after so many years, 45 years and so on. And she, we remember, for example, one student who was running a tiger and then suddenly changed her mind and turned around, who was being stalked by a tiger, and then changed her mind and turned around and started to run the tiger. And there was another student who, whenever she encountered anybody, she used to faint at some meal and so on. And Mrs. Baptiste used to talk about the overdose of Mills and Boone and so on. So those were fun days. We remember them. We were engaged. And she loved reading. She loved literature and books. And so she conveyed them with real power and stimulated you so that we were good English students in that class. When I returned in 1980, she helped to make the transition from student to teacher, seamless and painless for me. And she was very generous in mentoring me as a teacher. I remember two very quick incidents. One was teaching, as Dr. Mackenzie said, teaching a class for the first time about clauses. And I felt something was wrong there. And I went back to her and she said, no, that was a noun clause. I remember that up to today. You didn't do quite right. So I said, what am I going to do? And she said, go back and tell them you were wrong, show them the right thing and explain. There's nothing wrong with that. And for me, that demonstrated humility, honesty, and teaching me as a new teacher academic integrity, and teaching me as a new teacher that you can be open and honest to students and have a relationship that is based on that. It's not that you know everything. The second thing was that following in her footsteps, we taught together and we'd given the students a topic based on someone waiting in apprehension and hearing footsteps coming down the corridor. And the story was built around that. You see, I remember all that. And when I got this child's essay, I felt a pang because it was obvious that it was not a story. It was real, and that child had been traumatized by an adult abuse. And I said to her, what am I going to do with this? And she said to me, don't give that student the exercise book when you go to class. Go to class, give out the others, and then say to the student, come to me in the staff room, I have your book there. And then talk to the student, and you have to get to the bottom of that situation, and we will deal with it. And we did. And that demonstrated to me a caring for human beings, not simply about teaching English, which she was good at, but ensuring that the whole child was catered to and that a ministering spirit, because it is not just about the brain, it's about the heart and everything. And I learned from her. She was at every staff dinner at Christmas. Everyone, she and Mr. Baptiste would be there. And she used to have us going in the staff room. She used to tell stories and so on, and everybody's laughing. And of course, she would make sure you get to class on time. But the staff room was a fun and happy place because of Miss B. So when I thought of her as she passed and I heard, and when I think of her now, I could see her laughing, having a great time in that big staff room in the sky, entertaining some of the other members who might be there with her, and having a sense of having achieved. Now, earlier, Jillian, you talked about touching lives and lives all over the world, and those persons touching others. And Maya Angelou has said that when you talk about your legacy, it's not what you plan to do, what you built, what you achieved, it's the lives that you've touched. And I think she has a powerful legacy because she has touched thousands of lives. She has taught us not just English, but about loving and living and serving your maker. And even though we mourn her passing, we know that her life has made a difference. Living was not in vain. And we thank God for her and for lending her to us and for the work of his beloved daughter, Miriam. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, for sharing so eloquently. Thank you.
A lovely tribute.
Yes.
Dundee, BHS way.
Wow. Wow.
And Jillian, when you said, when I think of BHS, what just came to me from that tribute, BHS meant brains, heart, and service.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And you know, you're saying brains and heart and service, but while Miss Brathwaite spoke, I couldn't help but remember that as members of ISCF, Auntie Miriam and Miss Belinda Dillon Duncan, they were the teachers that they assisted us. They spoke to our souls and our hearts. All right. So while I mean, that's just such a lovely story that was just told there about her life, how she dealt with that student who was experiencing problems. But you know, every week, Auntie Miriam, they would meet with us and pray with us, students at BHS. And so she was concerned very much about the hearts and souls of her students.
Yes.
Excellent exemplar. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, are you ready to hear your mom now?
I think so. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Let's hear what your mom have to say.
Yes.
I am Olive Richardson Grant. I'm sister of Miriam Theodora Yorrick Baptiste. Miriam Theodora Yorrick Baptiste was the first of my mother's children. I am the fifth of 9 children. She was our second mother. She grew up with her paternal grandmother, who loved her dearly, while we lived with our father and mother. She missed being with us, but we enjoyed a very good relationship with her because she visited us very often. She was an exhibitioner in the 40s to Bishop High School. She graduated in 1948 and started to teach at Locato Anglican School, where we attended. The teachers showed us a very special interest in us, and the children treated us well because we were Teacher Miriam's siblings. Miriam has fine qualities. She was loving, caring, generous, and a godly woman. She ensured that her siblings got an education and were well placed in life. She was the wind beneath her wings. She boarded and lodged underprivileged children who lived in rural areas. She financially supported everyone in the family who needed help, whether it was a wedding, university, or trouble. She gave free English lessons to everyone in the family, except for those she taught at Bishop High School. She was an avid reader and taught me to love reading at an early age. Example books like Jane Eyre and Far from the Madding Crowd. I read those books while I was in elementary school. She passed on all her books after reading them to me. We attended the same church and we were very close. I admired her faithfulness in teaching Sunday school for decades. Even after her memory became impaired, she still wanted to go to Sunday school every Sunday to meet with the children. She was involved in Girls Covenanters class, camp, and visiting group on Sunday evenings. I admire how she refused to worry about anything but trusted in God instead. I have wonderful memories of my dear sister, and the last one was April 27th, 2021, when we celebrated her 89th birthday. She hugged and kissed us, and she read her card from the top to the bottom. We mourn her passing, but she is in a better place. I want to publicly thank Dr. Nathaniel Duke, one of her past students of Bishop High School, who took care of her at his private practice for free for over a year before going back to the United States. To the children, grandchildren, and her family, I wish you God's comfort and peace. Be strong and let love, peace, and unity continue among you all. Look out for one another. For those of you who know the Lord, continue to love and to serve Him. And to those of you who do not know the Lord, seek ye the Lord while He might be found, and call upon Him while He is near. Prepare to meet thy God. As I close, I say, only one life. This will soon be past, and it's only what's done for Christ will last. I thank you.
Wow. Thank you. We had to receive that that tribute. It's just amazing how we all have been impacted by Miriam Baptiste, and yet it's a different side of her we would have seen, and we could now testify of. That's so good. Thank you so much, Mommy, for sharing. That was well done. And Clem, we're moving right along. And do you think it's time for the pianist, Javon Bruce?
Oh yes, I can assure you that he's ready. And why I can assure you that he's ready is because it's a video.
It's a video, right? Very
yes,
good.
so Javon
Very good.
Bruce.
Javon is a great nephew.
Great nephew of Auntie Miriam, right?
Yes, yes. Jenny's son.
Wow. Jillian, you notice how cool the guy was
Yeah.
there? He was just like cool, just slow
Yeah.
and doing his business.
That's one. An excellent instrumentalist. And this is his rendition of Draw Me Close to You. And of course, that's a spiritual song that speaks of, worshiping God and loving him. And we know that she loved God, that all her life that we knew her, she surrendered her life to Jesus and sought to please him and had that love relationship with God. And that, at the end of the day, it perhaps is the most fitting tribute we could speak of her life.
Draw me close to you.
Thank you, Jeffon. Draw me close to you. Yes. So we are, at this time, we're going to invite Uncle David, that's David Cato, her older brother. She has two brothers, the older one who lives in Trinidad. Uncle David, if you're ready, we are happy to have you to share.
All right, and once again, we have videos, two videos lined up, Jillian. So just before Uncle David, we'll have Wilkin Spoker, and who also has a video. And after he's finished, he will go straight into Uncle David.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so let me send them up now.
If one were to ask me to describe my Aunt Miriam in one sentence, I would say a wise mind, a humble spirit, and a beautiful soul who love God and love people. One could not come in contact with Aunt Miriam and within a short space of time don't realize that she loved people. She was a hospitable person. Whatever she possessed, it was not just for her own enjoyment, but it was to share with others, to serve others. I remember as a young boy, having lost a father, when Aunt Miriam had a brand new car, that car was often used to come pick us up, carry us to convention, whether it was in Canaan, whether it was in Glen Road. Aunt Miriam ensured that that car was used to assist us, to assist my mom, to assist our family. I also remembered in those days when we did not have a proper water supply. Again, on a Saturday, my mom and I would go by Aunt Miriam. She'd spend the whole day washing. And of course, Saturday being the day that soup is cooked, we'd have a nice big bowl of soup. But that was Auntie Miriam for you. You go to a house, you push against that door, and that door is always open. She was always there to welcome you. It was as if she was saying, I am here for you. Morning, noon, or night, just come. And I think that the greatest legacy, the greatest tribute that we can pay to her, to honor her legacy, is for us to demonstrate to others all of the virtues and the attributes that we saw in her and through her while she lived here on earth. My deepest condolences to Vernon Bappo, to Gwen, to Karen, to Andre, to Andrea, to grandchildren and great-grandchildren, to siblings, to friends and other relatives, and all who are in mourning at this time. Sleep well, my dear aunt, till we meet again. God bless.
I am
Thank you.
with you too. My dear wife next to me, sending a tribute to my dear sister Miriam Baptiste, who died a few weeks ago. Miriam was such a loving sister to me. I was so I could not attend the funeral which because of the COVID, and I was very sad that I couldn't even see her. The last time I saw her, it was last year sometime, and when we met her, we asked her. She came from church, and I asked her, "How you came here?" She said, "I drove the car." Well, she was an English teacher at Bishop High School, and anytime you hear she go to give a speech, oh God, it was so excellent. But when you hear she talk ordinary, oh God, I'll make her do so. Anyhow, so loving and kind. I can remember once I came from Trinidad, and she had her husband food, and she gave me her husband food, and she prepared something else for him. And when he came, she told him, "I give David your food, you know," and he didn't get any hers, any hers at all. And well, I cannot find words to express my sister how much I love her. Once I went to Scarborough, and first Miriam and I resemble so much. A lady saw me and she said, "That fella resembling a girl from Lekoto," and which means in my sister he was talking about. So, well, all I can't explain how much the love I have for her and how much love she had for me. Well, as I said, I was so disappointed and I was not able to see her before she died and before she was buried.
Hi everyone, my name is Claudette Charles Bradshaw.
All right. Jillian, have you ever taken the food from Cousin Neville?
If I ever took
Uncle Neville's food?
No, I don't think so. No, there are times like at Christmas time, when mommy goes or she'll say, "This food came from my Auntie Miriam," and I think she'd say, "Uncle Neville cooked this," or he what you have first-hand knowledge that he was an excellent cook.
Very good. Well, I got a note again that our panis is ready.
The panis is ready. Okay.
Yes, Aton Baptiste, grandson, the pan soloist.
Aton.
Yes. So Aton, we are ready for you.
Yes. Go right ahead.
We may be having some technical difficulties. What do you think, Jillian?
I think
okay, he's
I
trying
see
again.
them saying that a screen is starting, but if we have to wait, then perhaps we can take someone quickly or play. I know you have some videos, some tributes that were recorded on video.
Okay, yes, I do. And let's see. Are you hearing anything?
I think there's Jessie, cousin Jessie. I think perhaps that's the video that began that you stopped.
Yes, okay, so let's go with
Jessie
cousin.
Bradshaw.
Oh, sure, let's go
Yes.
with cousin Jessie, and
Yes.
and after
Yes.
that we'll see if Aton
Yes.
is ready after that. Cousin Jessie. Let's go with you.
She prepared something else for him, and when he came,
My name is Claudette Charles Bradshaw, better known as Jessie. I'm the daughter of Hadassah Chapman Charles, better known as Tanti Dassa. My early days were spent in Tobago with my mommy, Enid Chapman, affectionately known to everybody as Tanti Enid. I spent a lot of my early years there with she and my big brother, who I call Sonny Thompson. As I reminisce on my early days, I remember spending a lot of time in what we called at that time Lekito. I was excited when I had to go to Lekito to go see Tan Gally, whom I call Tan Dolly. You see, I couldn't speak so well at that time, so I gave people my own name. But I'd be happy to see Tanti Roslyn, Tanti Telma, Tanti Gracelyn, and Teacher Miriam. I would spend my time there between Tan Gally, Tan Dolly, and Teacher Miriam. It was really exciting. I felt excited going to visit Teacher Miriam because I had Vernon and Gwen, who I call Dwen, to play with. I remember Teacher Miriam being a very loving and affectionate person. And the idea that I love being there is because she showed me lots of affection. Because those of you who know me as a child know I like love up and hug up and stuff like that. So it meant she showed that to me.
Yeah.
When I got older now, I love listening to Teacher Miriam tell me things that I did when I was a child. One of the things I always remember is the story she told me with me and Gwen, who I call Dwen. She said, everybody know they were there having a good time. Next thing, you just hear me pipe out, Dwen, I tell you stop hitting me, and you keep hitting me. But the next time you hit me, Dwen, I'll beat you right in front of your mother's scene. I'm sure Gwen got the message after that. And as I got older, I remember in high school, whenever my mother, Mrs. Das, came to visit Tobago, she'd always go to my Teacher Miriam. And I remember her telling me that she asked Teacher Miriam to help me with some schoolwork, which Teacher Miriam agreed to and willingly did. But think about it, I was living all the way Pump Mill. I had to walk from Pump Mill to Cudler Hall. So after a while, she didn't give up on me, and I am the one stopped going. But she kept encouraging me and, trying to find out what I was doing and stuff like that. I didn't see her for a while because after that, not too long after, I went back to Trinidad with my folks. But whenever I talked to Tanti Roslyn, I would inquire about her. It was sad to hear of her passing. But for all of us who love her and will miss her, we can thank God for the promise of exciting reunions in heaven with friends and loved ones. Love you all.
Okay.
Wow. For those of us who love her, we can look forward to a time of awesome, exciting reunion with those that we love. That's a great promise of God to us. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Cousin Jessie. All right. Aton should be ready now.
Well, I just got the note that he's not quite ready, but I just got that excitement there. As I was listening to Claudette, did you hear the excitement when she was saying Tanti this and Tanti that?
She was excited about everything.
Yeah. But I was advised that we should go with Jean, then we should hear a word from Augusta.
Yes.
From Pastor
Yes. Well, it is my pleasure to give an intro to my cousin, Miss Jean Lyons of Germany, of Tobago, who has resided in Germany. She is a Tobago jazz artist, and she was, of course, the cousin of Auntie Miriam and a lead choir vocalist and more. She says, I got to know cousin Miriam at the age of about 12 to 13 years old. Whenever we met, I observed her to be a very soft-spoken, elegant, tall, slim, and ladylike person. I'm sure she always wondered why I gazed at her like I did. But little did she know I wished to look like her. She was beautiful. And I'm convinced that her beauty was not only external, but it came from within. Now that she has passed, may she rest in perfect peace. And on behalf of all others, may I join in saying thank you, Cousin Miriam, for all of those that you took care of and all the persons you made happy. That's a tribute. And now we will hear the soloist, Miss Jean Lyons, cousin of Auntie Miriam.
As I lay me down, heaven hear me now. I'm lost without a cause, after giving it my all. Winter snow has come and darkened my sun. After all that I've been through, who on earth can I turn to? I look to you, I look to you. After all my strength is gone, in you I can't be strong. I look to you, I look to you, yeah. And when melodies are gone, and you I hear a song, I look to you. I'm losing my breath, there's no more fighting left, sinking to rise no more, searching for that open door. And every road that I've taken lead to my regret, and I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Nothing to do but lift my head. I look to you, I look to you, yeah. And when all my strength is gone, in you I can't be strong, I look to you, I look to you, yeah. And when melodies are gone, in you I hear a song, I look to you. Oh, my life is broken down, and the rain is falling down on me, tumbling down on me. Oh, I need you to set me free, yeah, yeah. Take my way from the battles, I need you to stand with me. I look to you, I look to you. After all my strength is gone, in you I can't be strong, I look to you, hey, I look to you. When melodies are gone, oh, when you are hear a song, I look to you. Hey, I look to you.
beautiful rendition, Jean Lyons rendition of Whitney Houston's I Look to You. When melodies are gone, when my strength is gone, I look to you. And we've heard already that that was the secret of Mrs. B. She looked to Almighty God. She knew the times when her strength was waned. She knew to look to him. A powerful message, a fitting tribute of Mrs. B.
Indeed. And speaking of powerful messages, Jillian, I was told like this is the time for us to get our words of comfort from cousin Augustus Ogis.
Yeah, okay. Let's bring it on.
Let's bring it on. And you know this brother is hot.
Right?
So cousin Augustus?
Yes.
The floor is now yours.
Yes. Words of comfort.
So I want to say good evening to all of my family and friends and loved ones. It is indeed a great honor for me to have been asked to bring words of comfort to all of us who mourn right now. I realized that it was impossible for me to do so all by myself. So I have with me two of my daughters who will help me bring words of comfort. One would open up with words of comfort in song, and I will share a word from the Bible. And then my other daughter would give us a song of comfort in the end. I realize that there have been many tributes, but I just want to give a tribute that was not yet given. Many of you may not know it, but my mother, affectionately called Tan Maggie, and my aunt, Tan Galley, who was teacher Miriam's mom, had their children around the same time. So cousin Olive and my brother Augustine were born around the same time. And teacher Miriam and my twin brothers were born around the same time. And my mother told me this story. She said that when the children were all hungry, teacher Miriam's mother, Tan Galley, would feed the twins and Miriam together. All three of them would be nursed by my aunt. So everybody was fed when they were hungry. I don't think anybody else told that story, so I had to tell that one. So having given a little tribute, I'm going to have my daughter, Keo, lay the table before I share a text of scripture. And then my second daughter, Lynn, will bring the benediction. So Keo, will you lay the table, set the stage for the word? Thank you.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it
it is well. Oh, with my soul. Oh, it is well. It is well with my soul. Oh.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Keo. And this is for the family, for all of us. God is saying to all of us this evening that because of the life that Teacher Miriam lived, it was well with her soul. And we must so live that we'll be able to say when we come to the end of our journey that it is well with our soul. I'd like to just lift a couple of verses from the book of John, John chapter 11, and most of us know the story well about the sickness of Lazarus and the eventual death, and how Jesus stayed away 4 days before he showed up. And when he did, Jesus spake these words unto the people when Martha said, Lord, if you were here, my brother would not die. And Jesus said, and she said, I know that my brother would live in the resurrection. And Jesus said to Martha, John 11, 25 and 26, Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though ye were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? These are the words of Jesus saying to all of us this evening that Teacher Miriam, my cousin Miriam, that who believed in him, though she is now dead, and the Bible calls that asleep, yet shall she live. And for the rest of us who believe in Jesus, he said, I am the resurrection and the life. The word used for life in the original Greek, there are basically two words used for life. There is bios, which is biological life, but then there is zoe, which is eternal life, the life principle. Jesus said, I am the resurrection. In other words, I have come to resurrect those who are dead in trespasses and sin. That's why he came. So he said, I am the resurrection and the Zoe, the life principle, eternal life. That's who I am. If you believe in me, and that goes for all of our deceased relatives of the past, if you believed in me, though you were dead, yet shall you live, because he's coming back again. And those of us who are alive, he's saying to you and to me, if you believe in Jesus, you shall never die. Those are the words of encouragement and comfort I'd like to leave with our family this evening. Now, my daughter Lynn is going to take us out now with a song. I want you to know that my cousin who sang earlier stole her song. She was going to sing, I look to you. But since my cousin sang that song already, Lynn is going to sing another song. she's going to say to the family, hold on, help is on the way. Take us away, Lynn. Close us out.
Okay. Can y'all hear? Weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning light. Hold on, help is on the way. Hold on, help is on the way. Hey, hold on, help is on the way. Hey, hold on, help is on the way. Help is on the way. Hold on, help is on the way. Yeah, don't give in and don't give up. Hang on in there when the going gets tough. Now we've been there. It goes for just a night, but joy will come in the morning light. Hold on, help is on the way. Hey, hold on, help is on the way. Hold on, help is on the way. Hold on, help is on the way. He may not come when you want him, but I know he'll be right on time. Time, hold on. Help is on the way. Hey, hold on. Help is on the way. It's on the way. Hold on. Yeah, help is on the way. Hold on. Help is on the way. Just say help. We need some help. Yeah, help is on the way. Hold on. Hold on. It's on the way. Yeah, help is on the way.
The Bible says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. Hold on, help is on the way. With the voice of the archangel and with the trump of God. And the dead, cousin Miriam, teacher Miriam, in Christ shall rise first. And then we that are alive and remain shall be caught up together with her and them in the air. And so shall we ever be with our Lord. So let not your heart be troubled, family. Ye believe in God, believe also in me, says Jesus. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go, and he went to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again to receive you unto myself, so that where I am, there you may be also. Hold on. Help is on the way. Father, we thank you and we praise you for the assurance, for the promise that you who shall come will come and will not tarry. Comfort our family today, we pray, in Jesus' name. Let all God's children, every family member and friend say, amen, hallelujah, hallelujah, praise the Lord. Amen.
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 is on the way. All right. Thank you so much, cousin, um, Reverend Augustus, for that moving word. Certainly reminds us of our eternal destination, that's what is important at the end of the day. And at the same time, hold on, don't give up. For that person who might be feeling like giving up, things can be, we are going through a difficult time globally. And sometimes we never know which family member is probably feeling as though this is too much. But the word of God comes to you this evening. Don't give up. Help is on the way. All right? Yes, Clem.
Yes,
So,
dear. Well, there's some, guess what? We're going to have some musical entertainment right now. A name that
right.
is well known in Tobago, Max James. He has a
Okay.
message in song for us. So
Right.
let us listen to that message in
All
song.
right. He is a past student of Mrs. Baptiste. And certainly it is the time everybody knows, everybody who has been impacted by her life feels the need to give the tribute, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. James. Go right ahead.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Max James. From the class of 1975, my classmate being for this occasion, on this occasion, Gwyneth. So Gwyneth, I say hi to you, accept my sympathies, but as the song that I'm going to play says, God and God alone knows, and therefore He knows everything is perfect and everything is good. I wish you also a quick recovery from your little bout of COVID. Blessings to you, and I wish you health and long life. And let me say hello to the remainder of the class of 1975 and all who maybe be listening on this occasion of the memorial for Mrs. Baptiste, my really good friend, teacher. And as they say, if you're looking down, thanks for all the English lessons. Let me say a quick hello to the host, Glenn Hackett, and to my good friend, Jillian. Jillian, hi, how are you? Long time no see. Okay, so let's get
I'm
into
very good, Max. Good to see you.
I don't make any mistakes. If I do, well, perhaps you can forgive me. All right, so let's go. And my DJ this evening is my older daughter, Celia. Let's have the song. evening.
Oh yes, Jillian, God and God alone. And it seems like you unmute, Jillian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes,
And
I
I'm
want to hear that
agreeing.
voice of yours.
Yes, I'm saying it's God and God alone is worthy to be praised. Worthy. Every good that we are able to accomplish is because of him. Thank you so much, Mr. James, for that rendition.
All right. And it seems like coming up next, we have a tribute. This is going to be a live tribute from a Gospel Hall member, Desmond Graham.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Mr.
It's one of the
Graham,
earliest.
are you in the house?
Yes, I am.
All right, very good, very good.
Pleasant evening to all.
Good evening.
Right. My purpose here this evening is to pay tribute to our late sister, Miriam Baptiste. And may I say that this is an individual who I knew for over 50 years. She taught me at Sunday school, the time when my feet would not touch the ground, sitting on the benches. I knew her children, Vernon and Gwen and the others at the Glenwood Gospel Hall Sunday School. We grew up there together. And what is remarkable, I am still at Sunday school. Well, we know what's going on with the pandemic now, it's closed. Sunday schools, churches are closed at this time. And up to about 4 years ago, Sister Baptiste taught at the Sunday school in maybe in her mid-80s. She would have been faithful at Sunday school every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I was a student in the Sunday school. I grew up there. I'm a teacher there now and spent many years with our sister Baptiste. And now it has pleased the Lord to call her home. We are so thankful for the service that she rendered among the community at Glenwood and particularly the Sunday school. Our sister Baptiste was indeed a model teacher, a model member of the Glenwood Gospel Hall Church. Very faithful in everything that she did. And over the years, she taught many of the young ladies who are now fully grown women at this time, and they also have fond memories of our sister Baptiste. And when I was asked to say something on behalf of Sister Baptiste, I tried to reflect, and all I can see coming to me is that Proverbs 31 woman. You know, the last 3 verses tells us something like this: many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord shall be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. That was the person that our sister Miriam Baptiste was. So again, we should cherish the legacy that our sister Miriam has left us all. It is something to emulate. You know, many people would leave worldly goods, and I don't know, I don't think so that she had much of the material things to offer those around her. But the spiritual legacy that she has left behind would last for many generations. She was privileged to see her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And no doubt the life that she lived before them would have a lasting impact upon them. So again, this evening, on behalf of the Assembly, the Christian Brethren Assembly, also known as the Gospel Hall at Glen Road, I would like to thank you all for the opportunity to say these few words on her behalf. And I trust that her legacy will live on in the lives of her offspring. Again, earth's and earthly bounties would pass, but that spiritual legacy that was instilled in her children and grandchildren would last a lifetime, maybe unto the third and fourth generation. We are told concerning Timothy, Paul said, that which was given unto him by his mother and grandmother. And Timothy indeed was a model believer. And we trust that her children would reflect, I hope they do, on the goodness and the godly life that Sister Baptiste lived before them, and they too would pass on such legacy. I worked with her in the Sunday school. I worked with her as a member of a visiting group, which every Sunday afternoon we would go and visit the sick-in, the shut-in, sorry, and she would be there going along every Lord's Day, very faithful, a very good example. And you know, at this time we would normally say so many good things, but tonight I can testify what is being said of our Sister Baptiste is indeed truthful. She has had a great impact on my life, and I know many around. So I trust this evening that we will continue to hear those beautiful things honestly about our departed sister. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Desmond Graham. Yes, an elder representing the Gospel Hall community. I also saw a comment, a written tribute, very short, from Brother Anthony Roberts from the Canby Assembly, but he spoke on behalf of the Tobago Camp, I guess the committee, and he was saying thanks for the human service that she provided to the young people, even into her 80s. And this is a tribute, even at this point in time, that honors her and honors her legacy and the work that she did. Thank you so much.
Well, Jillian,
Yes.
well, as soon as we're going to have a little more music, we're going to have from Anicia Baptiste, you know,
Okay.
a granddaughter.
That's a granddaughter.
Yes, Wind
Yeah.
Beneath My Wings.
Right.
And after that, your cousin, Colin Corker, he is going to come and give a tribute.
Okay.
So let's play the music, and Colin, you can get ready as soon as the music is finished. I think Colin can come right in with this tribute. What do you think?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anissa Baptiste, and today I will be doing Wind Beneath My Wings in tribute to Mommy Miriam. As we know, she always encouraged us to love God and to find God in our lives. So I encourage everyone today with this song to do that and make God the wind beneath your wings.
It must have been cold here in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face, but you were content to let me shine. That's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, and you were the one with all the strength. a beautiful face without a name for so long, a beautiful smile to hide the pain. Do you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I would like to be. I could fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth, that I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I wish I could be. And I could fly higher than an eagle, 'cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, I could fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings. For you are the wind beneath my wings.
Lovely. Mr. Coker, I see you're on behind some coconut trees, enjoying the breeze and everything. So relax and just give us your tribute.
Just want to take this opportunity to say good evening and greetings from the lovely islands of Antigua and Barbuda. You know, when my brother Ellison reminded me today, he said, you know, you have to do a tribute this evening. And he said, did you write your tributes yet? And I said, not yet, but I'm sure by the end of the day, I'll come up with something to talk about. Here in Antigua and Barbuda, apart from being a physiotherapist, and incidentally, the 11th of this month would be 30 years since I graduated as a physiotherapist. And I was thinking, you know, my mom, because of her position in the family, having 8 siblings and mom being one of the 7 daughters, which means that we would have had 6 aunts and 2 uncles. And you know, as children, you tend to size up the older relatives. And so Auntie Miriam has become someone who is very special to us because of where she falls or fell within the family. And so in thinking of what tribute I should give this evening, I couldn't help but reflect on there's a company that I work part-time with as I'm a director in a nutritional company. And the 4 pillars that the company was founded on, it's faith, family, lifestyle, and legacy. And during the course of the day, while treating patients today and doing other things, I thought to myself, if I should talk about my Aunt Miriam this evening, I should use those same 4 pillars, which I so often speak to because I'm on radio twice per week. I'm on so many different Zoom meetings for the company. And so this evening, I just want to take a couple minutes and just look at the 4 pillars: faith, family, lifestyle, and legacy. And indeed, my Aunt Miriam was a woman of faith. I mean, we had a tremendous amount of time to spend with her at her home because we spent many vacations I mean, I just seen Clem today and I started laughing. Remember Andre and myself and Hollis would climb through the windows to go next door by the Hackett's to watch TV with Clem and Adrian and the others, or we'd go on the other side with the James, you know, and we just had such wonderful times there. But yet she was a woman of faith. She'd ensure that when we had family devotions, she was always very prayerful, you know, and you can see that. And I mean, even some of the early memories of my dad, you know, Auntie Miriam and Daddy would sing so many songs and so on. As a matter of fact, at Dad's funeral, when you heard Auntie Miriam cry, you would think that she was the widow instead of Thelma, you know. So she was a person of faith, her faith and her belief in God. And then the other thing, the other pillar is family. Everybody who knew Auntie Miriam, she was a family person, not just her own immediate family. She was family to all and sundry. No matter where you came from, whether you had or you didn't have. I mean, I was telling Andrew a couple of days ago, I said it was amazing that they had such wisdom, you know, Mr. Baptiste and Auntie Miriam, to build that house in such a strategic location so that people from all over Tobago could find refuge. You know, any port for a storm. There were times when, before they had widened the road to Lake Oto, sometimes we'd go to school and there would be landslides and the roads would be blocked. But you knew that you could pull into Auntie Miriam's house any port for a storm. When she got that Avenger, as Ellison said, PT 5172, that Avenger was used for so many different things. So she was a family person, a person of faith, a person of family. And then I think of the third pillar, lifestyle. Let me tell you something. Auntie Miriam was my oldest aunt, but she had a practical way of dealing with life. And apart from that, she was one of the most playful aunts that I have. I mean, I love all my aunts, but Auntie Miriam was just different. I think the most hugs and kisses that I got from all my aunties, and I got lots of hugs from all my aunties, I must have gotten the most hugs from Auntie Miriam, but she had a kind of spunk about her. Even though she was the oldest auntie, she had a kind of spunk, she had a kind of swag. I mean, when I heard Rhonda playing She's Royal, and I'm thinking, could you imagine if Auntie Miriam was here listening to that song? She had rhythm, she could move, she knew exactly how to operate. Even though she was the older auntie, that spunk and that swag that she had, you know, and now she's gone, she's left a rich legacy. So this evening, I want to say, you know, condolence to all my relatives, my aunts, my cousins, the extended families, the friends. I see teachers like the Sosas on. I saw Miss Braffett, who I went to Bishop's in 1979. So when she came in 1980, and we'll be there as a young teacher and so on. So it was just so wonderful this evening to think of my aunt in this way, that a woman of family, a woman of faith, a woman who had a lifestyle that so many people emulated. I mean, you see her walking along the corridor of Bishop High School, it's like, just taking her time. But yet there was a kind of spunk, a kind of swag that went with it. She had a kind of rhythm that, you know, you just had to understand. And she looked at life in a practical way, very playful. I mean, when you heard Auntie Miriam laugh, everybody would laugh. So those are the pleasant memories, treasured memories that I have of my aunt. God bless you guys, and back to the host and hostess.
Thank you, Colin. And you know, when I heard Anicia's song, "You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings," I thought it was beautifully rendered. Thank you so much. You are certainly gifted, and it was just the perfect song. And I thought of all the teachers who are perhaps on this Zoom link tonight, that you know, I don't know if Auntie Miriam could listen on. She probably didn't know that she meant so much to all of us. And it just says that's why we should do a better job of honoring persons in our lives while they can hear our words, our tributes. All right, and don't, because the eulogies and the tributes that we give after they pass on are for us. It's not for them. And so I mean, I saw Mr. Sosa. I know Mr. and Mrs. Sosa may be within earshot. I know Mrs. Brathwaite, Alexander, and any other teacher, we thank God for you. We thank God for the work that He called you to do, because teaching is much more than a vocation. I think it's a calling, and your gift, what you give to your students, goes on and continues to give to them every day. We earn a living simply because we were taught to read, simply because we were taught mathematics, because we were prepared for exams. And so we thank you, thank you, thank you for your selfless giving. For teachers, all the other teachers, Auntie Rustin, Auntie Gracelyn, all teachers, Mr. Wood on this Zoom link tonight. While we are honoring Auntie Miriam, we want to take the time to say to you, thank you. Thank you for your human service that you have given to the people of Tobago. God bless you.
Amen to that, Gillette. And yes, as I saw Mr. Sosa earlier and I smiled, I said, yes, time flies. I remember him teaching me geography. And as he said, all of the BHS connection, Mrs. Sosa, Miss Claire. Well, when I was in BHS, Miss Claire wasn't Miss Claire, it was Claire, because we were in class about the same time.
Well, I think she was a prefect at that time. Alison Potts also. Yes. And I forgot my cousin Jenny. Yes. And her husband Vaughn. Thank you all.
Yes,
thank you.
BHS and all the other teachers. But speaking of BHS, guess what? Mrs. Sosa did give a tribute, and we will listen to it now.
Yes.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and special greetings to the Baptiste family. I am Angela Sosa, former teacher at Bishop's High School, Tobago, and former colleague of Mrs. Miriam Baptiste, Mrs. B. Today, this evening, I am here on my own behalf, on behalf of my husband, Thomas Noel Sosa, and on behalf of all my colleagues at Bishop's High School who are part of the wonderful life of that special school. In today's world of stark visual presentations, when everything and everyone is brought to remarkable life, I ask myself, how can I adequately in words paint a vivid and true picture of Mrs. Miriam Baptiste, of someone of such distinct, colorful characteristics, someone who spent a significant part of her teaching career at Bishop's High School, Tobago. Mrs. Miriam Baptiste, Mrs. B, colleague, counselor, friend, narrator of the local Lekoto tales, a gifted narrator with a great sense of humor, a godly person whose principles were always reflected in the life she led. Mrs. Miriam Baptiste, Mrs. B, colleague. Calm in the troubled waters that the staff room might bring, her few words were potent, capturing attention and bringing clarity to situations. A pillar of support and one of the guiding lights of the Inter-School Christian Fellowship at Bishop's High School, Tobago. She sowed seeds of spiritual value that bore fruit. A team player in and out of the staff room, she was a part of that flamboyant support that teachers exhibited as they urged their school houses onwards. At this point, I must say a special thank you to Mrs. Baptiste for your children, Gwen, Garfield, Karen, Andrea, and Andrea, for gifting them to Bishop's High School and to Bowles House in particular. I thank you for gifting them with their special athletic talents on the track, on the football fields, and on the netball court. All to the glory of Bishop's and to Bowles House. And you, Mrs. Baptiste, were assigned to Davies. Thank you on behalf of Bowles House. Mrs. Miriam Baptiste, Mrs. B, counselor. She gave more than one word to the wise. And those spicy bits of advice, let us not forget them to young married couples and to the gentlemen as well. Words too spicy for me to repeat here. Her sense of humor was not only evident in this respect, but as she narrated her Lekoto tales, giving her first-hand experience of our history, a history that anchors us and gives us a distinct Tobagonian flavor and identity. Sitting next to her in the staff room, I probably benefited more than most from her pertinent words of wisdom. I close now with advice that she gave me for dealing with difficult situations in general, and as a mother in particular. Stop worrying, throw it and give God. Knowing of Mrs. Baptiste's unshakable faith in God, I am certain that he has embraced her in his wide, warm, welcoming arms, saying gently, Miriam, my child, I am so pleased with you. You come here to me now. We who have benefited so tremendously from you and have learned so much from you, we say, thank you, Mrs. Baptiste. Thank you, Mrs. B. May you continue to rest in eternal peace in God's everlasting arms. Amen and thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Sosa. Well narrated, very well said.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Yes. Clem, isn't that so powerful? She being a person who sat very close to Mrs. B and would have heard those spicy, saucy bits of advice for young married couples. I mean, I'm her niece. She never gave me such advice, so I can't even figure out what it was.
It would have been good if you could have gotten some advice, right?
But what we know is that she got the advice. Thank you so much for sharing those insights, Mrs. Sosa. God bless you.
Well,
And
what else you expect from BHS?
Yes, yes. All right, so we are moving right along, thanking Mrs. Sosa, thanking my cousin, Colin, Coca, always an eloquent speaker. Thank you. Yes. And are we moving on now? Is it to Jacqueline Chisholm?
Well, we could do that. I did hear that Anthony's video is ready, the tribute by Mrs. Baptiste's grandson.
Right. Okay. All right.
Because
so
remember, we had to put it back. So we can probably, well, you think we should do that now?
So let's work with him. Let's work with Anthony. Yes?
Yes.
That's Andrea's son.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes, we welcome you. Oh, is it Aton? Okay, we're going to see. Go right.
Hello, good day. My name is Anthony Yorrick Baptiste. I am one of the grandsons of Miriam Theodora Yorrick Baptiste, also known as Mrs. B, Teacher Miriam, Mommy Miriam, and my favorite, my Empress. We are gathered here today to celebrate her life and cherish her memories and to speak highly of her and to show our appreciation for what she has contributed towards us. Today, I'm just going to touch on 3 parts in how she contributed to my life and what I'll always remember her by. 1, is the love she showed to every and anyone. 2, the dearest memories I have of her. And 3, her sweet hand / her cooking. First is the love she showed every and anyone. I believe everyone, from her grandchildren to her children, to her neighbors, to her nieces, nephews, sisters, and in-laws, can testify to what I'm about to say here, that every time you met my grandmother, she met you with a warm heart and a bright smile. She always showed everyone love and left everyone with an positive impact when she met them. And for some reason, everywhere she went in Tobago, someone knew her. That type of impact my grandmother had on any and everyone she met. Also under the love she showed everyone was the openness of her house. Her house was always open to anyone, her neighbors, children, her nieces, nephews, and even some of her students used to be at her house. Our house was like the ultimate playground because you always had company and you always used to enjoy yourself. Second on the list is the dearest memories. I know I can stand up here and go on about the memories I have with my grandmother, and you'll never finish. But one memory that always stood out for me was when we went to Europe. And she used to lead the pack when we walked into France and Italy and everything. She never complained about being tired, about slowing down, anything like that. And I admired my grandmother at a young age because of that. Also, was when she baked sweet bread for me to go to school to sell. Now, my mother didn't know anything about it when we first did it. It was, on the low scheme. You understand? But, she was so willing to help me that she made 5 sweet bread that day, and she gave me 2 to carry to school to, bring some extra cash in my pocket, and I admire that about her as well. Also was with my studies. My grandmother never hesitated when my mother called her and said, hey, your grandson need help with the essays and the English. She jumped on that plane and she made sure she was present to make sure that I secured my education. Also was when I had the chicken pox. Everyone, would keep the distance, but my grandmother came in like a knight in shining armor, and she made sure to rub me from head to toe and nurtured me back to good health. Third on the list is her sweet hand / her cooking. Now, everybody know Mommy Miriam is the ultimate chef. You understand? You could try your best to outdo her, but she will always outdo you. But she taught me how to cook and bake at a very young age, and she was always willing and able and always there for me when I needed to just know a recipe how to make even fry bakes or even her famous stew fish. She was always willing to teach me and encourage me in the area of cooking and going forward in cooking. Everything she cooked tastes like heaven on earth. I'll be very honest, and I'm not exaggerating. I can remember when I was younger, I remember walking into the kitchen and I remember bouncing up our cousin Ronald, thieving from the pot, and he just watched me and so, shh, go sell me out. And that was the warm welcome that everyone had in our house, that even her nephews and nieces could have came and eat from her, and it was never a problem. And vice versa with her sisters as well. She always welcomed me with a kind heart and a warm smile as well. And my grandmother had a passion for bush tea, and she passed on that passion to me as well, until even at points in time when I was going to secondary school, she used to send bush tea every time a relative is to come from Tobago. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the conversations and the love that my grandmother used to show to me, and I also miss it. But I know as well that she's in a better place, and I thank you and I love you, Mommy, and I will forever cherish the memories I have with you, and I can't wait one day to see you again. Love you and goodbye.
A lovely tribute.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, Sister Jillian, I'm getting messages, right? And I got a message that they said we have to do Sister Jane next.
Jane now. Yes. Okay, so that's Jane, that's my aunt, from the Laketo Gospel Hall Assembly. Thank you, Auntie Jane. Go right ahead.
All right. I wonder if she remembers me. Hello, Lady Jane. Hope all is well.
My name is Jane Warner Grant, and I represent the Hilltop Gospel Hall Church. Sister Miriam Baptiste was fondly known to me and many others as Teacher Miriam. Teacher Miriam and I traveled in the same vehicle driven by the late Mr. Neptune to go to Scarborough daily. She was teaching at Bishop's High School and I was attending the Scarborough Secondary School. While teaching at Bishop's, she took time off from her busy schedule to start a class for young girls called Girls Covenanters class, which was held on Thursday afternoons. Such was her devotion and dedication to God. I was one of the students then, and we developed a very close relationship. At the class, we sang choruses, learned Bible verses, and played fun games. Teacher Miriam was the one who invited me to the gospel meeting, which was held at the small building in which the members of Hilltop Gospel Hall previously assembled. This meeting was conducted by Brother David Corbin, and as the grace of God would have it, it was there that I made a decision to serve the Lord Jesus Christ. Our relationship grew even closer then. She took me under her wings and mentored me in the things of the Lord. I found her to be approachable, loving, and kind. Her life was marked by humility. She was also deeply devoted to her Lord and Savior, and I was particularly impressed with her lusty singing. She served in the Sunday school until the time when she moved to live in her new home at Codler Hall. Psalm 116:15 says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints." And this is certainly true in the case of Sister Miriam, Teacher Miriam, Sister Baptiste. She lived a full Christian life. To God be the glory. Thank you.
Amen to that. The influence one person can touch so many souls. Jillian,
Yeah.
isn't that something?
That's the amazing thing. So many persons. We've had over 100 devices on tonight, and for every device you probably have sometimes 2 and 3 persons. All right, and yet so many persons can say, this one life, she was really a light. All right, that shone in my darkness and made a difference in my life. And to God be the glory. We have to give God thanks
Amen.
for her life.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Thank you so much, Auntie Jane. That was very well said. Yes, so we are moving right along. And Clem, who's next?
Oh, well, tell us a little about Jacqueline. Tell us a little about Jacqueline Chisholm. Tell us about.
Okay, Jacqueline Chisholm, Lightborn, hails from Barbados. She met Andrea in 1990 at the UWI Cave Hill campus, and Andrea brought her to Tobago in 1994, where she met Mrs. Miriam Baptiste. And to this day, she speaks about being taught to cook curry by teacher Miriam. All right, so this is a tribute coming from the Bahamas, sorry. Yes, from the Bahamas.
Oh, yes. So,
Jacqueline.
yeah, I guess let's see if she
Chisholm,
can tell us
like that.
about teacher Miriam Corey. So she's going to do a small tribute. Then she is going to sing a song after.
I'm so happy to give this tribute to Miss Miriam Baptiste. I came to know her through her daughter Andrea Baptiste, who's my best friend and who's my sister. Miriam Baptiste, or as I call her, Teacher Miriam, is an inspiring soul. She was always there for everyone. She came to your help when you're in trouble, and she always offered kind words and wise advice. Teacher Miriam taught many people many things. She taught me to make curry. She opened up her home to me as she did to many other persons. She opened up her heart. And she opened up her heart because she was a loving person. She was loving, humble, compassionate, and very understanding mother. She saw the value of life, and she knew that in order for life to be successful, you have to have love and you have to give love. In addition to that, you must have family. And in addition to that, those two things makes everything perfect. I just want to say thank you to Teacher Miriam for the impact and the inspiration she's been to me and the impact she's made on my life. Thank you so much. And I know for sure that the life that you lived and your lifestyle will only make heaven a very rewarding place for you. Thank you and God bless.
Je t'aime, te amo, ya ti bien les blue. I need your hand with I love you. The sounds are all as different as the lands from which they came. And though the words are all unique, our hearts are still the same. Love in any language, straight from the heart. Draw us all together, never apart. And once we learn to speak it, all the world will hear. Love in any language, fluently spoken here. We teach the young our differences, yet look how we're the same. We love to laugh, to dream our dreams. We know the sting of pain. From Leningrad to Lexington, the farmer loves his land. And daddies all get misty eyes to give their daughters hands. Oh, maybe when we realize how much there is to share, we'll find too much in common to pretend it isn't there. Love in any language, straight from the heart. Draw us all together, never apart. And once we learn to speak it, all the world will hear. Love in any language, fluently spoken here.
Yes, that was a sudden stop, but the love was felt.
Yes, yes, beautifully rendered, beautifully sung, and certainly you felt the ministry there. Definitely she is gifted, and this certainly spoke about the life of Auntie Miriam, love in any language. You know, I'm just wondering, Clem, I have that. There's just this question. I am wondering now, if Auntie Miriam helped so many persons, how much money did she really work for?
And you know, and that's the thing about it. It was not for the money. But could you imagine if she was to get even $1 for each person she helped, how much she would have had?
That's good right there. That's really good. But what I thought was that because she loved so richly, she could always find to help whoever was in need. And
No, go ahead.
we're having some challenge.
We had a little
Yes.
feedback there, but I think we're good now.
All right. So it really did not, I guess the issue is not so much how much you work for, is what you do with it. And if your heart, if you really love people, you find a way to help. Blood or anybody else. I just love what one person said. It did not matter who it was. Once you came to that house in Color Hall and you needed help. All right. I remember as a student at BHS, if you forgot money and you did not, you had a problem to get home, you knew if you forgot your lunch, all you needed to do was go by Auntie Miriam. She always seemed to be able to help you.
Oh, and I saw many of you guys, I was like, okay, this is the Cokers, this is the Richardsons, this is the Grants.
Yes, the Grants, yes.
I saw all of you, and I guess was it Maya Angelou? She said people may forget what you say to them, but they never forget how you make them feel.
That's it. And she always made you feel special, as though you were the only person she was helping out. All right. But certainly an awesome, an amazing soul.
Amen.
All right. We are
almost there. We are almost there. And we have a couple more people.
We asking everyone to stay on. All right. And we are going to go to Vaughn more.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's a cousin.
And it is so beautifully lined up that after Vaughn, it's going to go straight into Allison Moore Potts. So they're just going to smoothly go one into the other. One is a voice recording, while Vaughn is a video.
Yes.
All right, so let's let the tributes keep rolling.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Vaughn Roger Moore. I could be considered one of Auntie Miriam's son because I've spent basically the better of 10 to 12 years living with her. I just want to pay a tribute to her. She was a mother to me, and that is what she was. I want to say thanks for all that she have done for me. I want to say thanks to Bapo, Gwen, Karen, Andra for accepting me as a brother. I felt very comfortable there, and that is because of the love that they shared with me. I must say that Auntie Miriam was a woman of substance, a woman of virtue. If you Google that, her picture will pop up. So on behalf of my family and I'd just like to pay a tribute to Auntie Miriam, and may she continue to rest in peace.
I am Mrs. Allison Moore Potts, and I'm honored today to pay tribute to Mrs. Miriam Baptiste, my teacher of English language at Bishop's High School, my ISCF sponsor, and one of my role models in ministry. Mrs. Baptiste was my English teacher in Form 4 and 5. As I said at her 88th birthday celebrations, the textbook English for Schools Book 5 was very boring, but the classes were interesting and enlightening. And of course, I received a grade 1 in this subject. For all the years I spent at Bishop's, Mrs. Baptiste was our Inter-School Christian Fellowship or ICF sponsor. She was the adult who oversaw the group. In those days, most extracurricular activities were held after school, and Miss stayed back with us, and ever so often she led us in Bible study. She was a true guide by the side who gave the IACF committee almost free rein, thus allowing us to develop our leadership skills. She never quarreled or remonstrated with us when we went wrong. When I was president, she would call me aside and say, Allison, the teachers are complaining that you all are returning to classes late after lunchtime sessions. You all have to do better than that. Or she would say, the principal mentioned so and so. Don't let that happen again. Very straightforward and to the point. I never asked because I am sure that she remained the ICS sponsor until she retired. This brings me to her role as one of my role models in ministry. Recently, I think it was Devon Grant who mentioned to me that Miss still came to Sunday school at Glenwood every Sunday evening, even while she was not well and in her 90s. A time when most of us are at home sleeping or relaxing. In 1 Corinthians 16:15, the Apostle Paul referred to some church members in the house of Stephanus who have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. Mrs. Baptiste would have fit right into this household. Serious about ministry and faithful to the end. Sometimes, when I feel like giving up in certain areas of my own ministry, I remember people like Mrs. Baptiste, and I say, let me stay put. If she could do it, I can do it too. It was Martin Luther King Jr. who said that everybody can't be famous, but everybody can be great. Because greatness is determined by your service. Mrs. Baptiste was indeed a great woman, a great saint, a great example to the believers. To Gwyneth, my classmate, and her brothers and sister, to Mrs. Jenny Bruce, her niece and my former colleague, to the members of her congregation, and to her numerous friends and family members, on behalf of the class of 75 and on my own behalf, I say, be comforted and encouraged, because your loss is Mrs. Baptiste and heaven's gain. She is physically absent from us, but she is surely present with the Lord.
Amen to that. And Jillian, is either you on mute or you're singing Silent Night to me. I don't know which one is it.
I muted. I wanted to make sure that nothing in my background interfered with the proceedings.
So you
yeah,
were not singing
thank you
Silent
so
Night.
much.
No,
Yes.
no. There's something that I would like to share with individuals here. You know, there are people who wonder, how can we do tributes? You know, like there were people here who, you know, who did not have a chance to do tribute. So
Yes.
if per chance you are on Facebook, there is a page that you can
Yes.
actually, you know, it's a page that's there
You can
specifically.
join. You can
You
join
can
the
join.
group.
Yes.
Yes.
So we can leave the book, you know, we'll leave it up just for about half a minute or so people could take their phones, take a picture of the screen, or if they want to write it down to the old-fashioned way. And
Yes.
this is a good medium. You're invited to join the Facebook group. The name is Miriam T.Y. Baptiste. And you know what, Jillian, when I saw T.Y., you know what went through my mind? She's
What?
telling the Lord, thank you for the years you gave me on it. Miriam
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
T.Y.
Yeah.
Baptiste.
Yes.
Where you can post more
Theodora, Yorrick. Yes.
speakers, videos, tributes. And I guess I can put it down now. All
Yes.
right. Whew. Well, of course, I know you did it early, but of course, I have to reach out to Bapu, Gwen, Karen, Andre, and Andrea, you know, saying hello to you guys, letting all of you guys know our families are thinking about you, Adrian, my mom, everyone
Yes.
sent, greetings. My whole family sends greetings. And by
Yes.
extension, you too, Jillian, and the Cokers and the big family,
Thank you.
when I look at your family, I thought you guys were given Abraham. Abraham in the Bible, I thought you guys were given Abraham competition.
Not quite.
Not quite, okay.
But we still have yes, I'm sorry. I preempted you there.
No, go ahead. I think I was done.
Okay. Well, it's our closing remarks, and we are followed by Mrs. Cherry Ann Sandy, who is her niece, my cousin, her last caregiver, and then the closing prayer. But I want to thank my aunt Roslyn, Mrs. Roslyn Wood, and her daughter Rhonda and Andrea, Baptiste, and I think Jenny Bruce. I think they were the coordinating committee that ensured they planned and they executed this project, and they did an excellent job. This must have been a mammoth task,
Oh, yes.
but the wide range of persons who were able to give their tributes tonight, the fact that they prepared and provided this platform so that persons could express themselves, and even more importantly, honor someone who is worthy of the respect that has been paid tonight. And so I want to thank them and I want to commend them for all that they have done. We want to also thank Clem, the persons who contributed tonight. I think by and large, people stuck within the time. I would like to think so.
Oh,
All
yes.
right.
Oh,
yes. Yes. Because when I saw the number of persons, I thought we were going to go into, tomorrow morning, but God has helped us. It's
Amen.
10:40. Yes, and we're winding down. All right, so we want to thank you for your tributes and your contributions, all the musical items, the instrumentalists, the singers. Thank you so much. And then we had persons who did not, probably didn't feel brave enough to utter a word, but their very presence on this Zoom meeting, in this Zoom meeting, speaks volumes. We thank you for your presence. We thank you for your prayers, all right? And which helped us, Clem and I, to serve in this capacity tonight. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for asking me. I don't know what Clem has to say, but thank you.
Well,
And of course, it
I
was
would say thank you too,
wonderful
because
being
they
with
really
you.
did well. Because even with the end, this program, there were a lot of changes. There were a lot of notes, from master control. Those people
Very
who,
dynamic. Yes, you know
yes,
how it
they were working hard. I almost tell them I fire the work. Yeah, guess what? One person was saying go left, one said go right. And I was saying, I can't be an acrobat, but it was all in fun. It was all in fun. They worked hard. And Jillian, could you do me a favor, please?
Tell me.
Could you make sure it doesn't take this long for me to see you again? Well, I said I see you.
I feel as though the last time we saw was at VHS.
Oh,
That
oh
was a
well.
long time. That was
Okay,
a
well,
long
then,
time ago.
in that
If
case,
we
that ain't
say,
too
if we
long.
say when that was, then
We
they figure
graduated
out our
in
age.
2011, right?
2011 what? I think something else is happening with you. I have to pray for you. But I want to say something to you, Clem.
Yeah.
Here, what shocks me tonight of everything that has happened is you. My memory of you is a very quiet, introverted person. So when they told me that he will be hosting with you, I was like, wow, well, that's interesting. Let's see how this is going to go. Because I don't remember Clem being, somebody who is going to get out there and, be assertive and, speak and so forth. So I think I am just so pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Thank you. You did a very good job.
And well, I couldn't let you do it good all by yourself. And as you can see, I am still introverted, quiet, and shy. So.
I'm not seeing that.
You're not seeing that. Okay. Okay. But I guess the other people, they probably want to go and sleep. They probably say, "What are you guys? Why are you guys talking on like that?"
Yeah. Come on, you all meet on another forum and talk.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
But I thank everyone. Thank everyone for being here. There are still 72 people.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Very good.
Thank you for allowing me to be with you, Jillian.
Yes. You're welcome.
For this shy guy, thank you for leading out the shy guy.
Yes.
But I guess I heard you say Miss Sherry Ann Sandy.
Yes, Mrs. Sherry Ann Sandy, Richardson Sandy. Yes, she was the last caregiver. And then Mr. Hezekiah Wood, my uncle-in-law, Auntie Russell's husband, he will close, or he will do the closing prayer.
All right. So I guess if you were preaching a sermon, you will say, we will decrease and they will increase.
That's a good one.
Okay. So I go on.
You're doing well, Clem.
All right. Well, good night to everyone.
Good night. And God bless you.
All right. Thank you.
Right ahead, Cherry Ann.
Good night to everyone.
Huh?
Good night to everyone.
Good night, Cherry Ann.
Before I deliver the vote of thanks, as a principal caregiver of Auntie Miriam, it was indeed an attribute joy to care for her. She was a beautiful woman inside and outside. Gentle, sweet, tender, and not one to fuss. I will miss her greatly, and I will always love and cherish her. I want to publicly express my appreciation for her guidance, kindness, wisdom, and support. She would truly miss by all. On behalf of my family, I want to thank you all for attending this beautiful memorial service for my Aunt Miriam and for all the support it took to make her service so comforting to all who love her. I also wish to thank everyone who has helped out in her daily few, helped out in her daily following her passing, and wish to extend our deepest gratitude to friends and other family members who have been most helpful through difficult times. We say thank you. To the organizer, I want to thank you for taking the time to plan this memorial service and for your I want to thank you for taking the time to plan this memorial service and for your significant role in celebrating Aunt Miriam's life. To you, the audience, and those who have bought tributes, I want to deeply express warmest thank you for all the kind words of sympathy that were extended to Aunt Miriam's children, siblings, and close relatives. I want to express a most profound thank you to Auntie Miriam's co-workers, past students, friends, relatives, well-wishers, and loved ones. We say thank you and may God bless you richly. To all who played a role in caring for Auntie Miriam in their final years, we say thank you. We could not have done it on our own. To my cousin Rhonda, who has instrumentally input this program together, I want to thank you immensely. To those who helped with making arrangements after my aunt's passing, it was indeed, it was indeed a difficult time. And we want to acknowledge that your contribution were indeed very helpful. Thank God for a life well lived.
Thank you. Thank you, Sherry Ann. Are we gonna call on, that was just a fitting way of bringing the curtain down. And we're gonna ask Mr. Wood to now close us with the word of prayer. Close the session with a word of prayer.
Before I pray, I want to thank the host and hostess for managing the program in such an excellent way. We have gone well into the night, but we are not tired because you kept us lively and you held our attention throughout. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let us pray now. Almighty Father, we are indeed thankful unto thee for such a splendid program. We thank thee for the life of Teacher Miriam. We thank thee for the hundreds of people she has influenced. And we thank thee for the legacy that she has left, which would be a shining light for all those who come after her. We thank thee for good weather and good internet access so that the program went smoothly. We thank thee for all those who made contributions. And as we leave this platform, we pray, Lord, that you would help us to remember all the good things that Auntie Miriam have done to all the people that she had come in contact with. And may these good deeds remain with us and lighten our pathway so that we can live good lives. And we hope that in the end, we will all unite with her in God's kingdom to continue this happy life that she had started. Continue to bless and keep all of us. As we go to sleep, we pray that you would keep us safely through the night, protect us from harm and danger, and help us all to remain faithful and to live right so that our lives also would impact those with whom we come in contact for the good, and we all would eventually end up in thy kingdom to spend eternity with thee. Continue to bless and keep us all, we pray, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wood. Thanks for your kind comments also and for this prayer.
Thank you. Well, I guess I saw a note on saying it's 4 a.m. in the UK. So I guess we should tell everybody good night and good morning.
Yes, yes. And I think you grew up with TTT.
Yeah, good morning,
televisions used to sign off.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Nowadays, that doesn't happen, but
we will sign off.
Yes.
We will sign off. Because if we don't sign off, they will sign us off.
That's it. That's it. We both of us here. So good night, everyone. All cousins, Jesse, my friends, my cousin, I'm seeing Linnell, I'm seeing Emrys Grant, and everyone who came on tonight. God bless you.
Okay.
Sign off.
Good night, everyone.